Hello Eagles Nation, Vincent Foch here, and welcome to a Week 15 Eagles Chat. But before we get into this Eagles Chat, make sure you subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel, as well as liking this Eagles Chat video. And if you want to see daily updates on your birds, make sure to show us some love by following us on Instagram, Chat Eagles. Or you also can see updates on when we'll be posting Eagles Chats as well. So make sure to give us a follow. It would be much appreciated. Let's get into this Week 15 Eagles Chat. As we all know, the Eagles went up against the Seattle Seahawks and lost. Final score 20-17. So the Eagles seem to be playing more and more pitiful week after week. I understand on last week's Eagles Chat I said if change needs to happen, it needs to happen now. But in no way did I mean a change for the worse, as the Eagles seem to be going everywhere but up. They seem to be swirling the drain and going down the drain as we speak. But now, going into the injury update, we have one player on this injury update, and that one player being Mr. Nolan Smith, Eagles linebacker. He is said to have a shoulder injury. Now, we will continue to monitor this injury as the week goes on. I will not hesitate to update you guys on the Eagles Chat Instagram story. But now, moving on to a topic that I know a lot of people are discussing in the Delaware Valley at this time, and that is the Eagles coaching situation. And for yesterday's loss, I have to shift the blame again to Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Right now, it does not seem like he is much of a coach, and I tell you, every week I'm starting to lose more and more respect for this guy right here, as it seems like he really does not have control over his football team. I have been questioning a lot of decisions that he's been making. Now, yes, he did make a change with the defensive coordinator situation, but then again, with the offense, I think that is something that needed to help most, and that question being, why is Brian Johnson still at the helm of the offense? Now, as this Eagles Chat is being filmed, Brian Johnson still has his offensive coordinator position. Now, who knows, by the time I release it, well, if Brian Johnson doesn't have his position anymore, I'd be very, very happy. But as of now, as this Eagles Chat is being filmed, he still has his coordinator position. So I asked Nick Sirianni, why is Brian Johnson still in the offensive coordinator position? He has not shown any potential of being a good offensive coordinator, and we look back to the reason Brian Johnson was brought into this organization. He was originally brought in because he was said to be close with Jalen Hurts. The only problem is I'm seeing complete opposite of that. And the issue being, I'm not seeing good communication between him and the players whatsoever. And you look at last year's offense with Steichen leading it, compared to this year's offense with Brian Johnson leading it, and there's a huge difference. I have not once seen this offense this year put a team away. And there were multiple times yesterday where the Eagles offense could have gone up by a couple touchdowns. And did they do that? They did not. And they unfortunately failed to do so in big time ways. And I really have to say, how is this offense, with the talent that they have better talent than they had last year. How are they worse than they were last year? They have better talent, but yet they are worse than they were last year. And that being said, you can have the most talented guys on the football field, but if you have all the talent on the field and you don't have the talent on the sideline being the coaches, you are not going to win football games. And that is the reason that the Eagles, 100%, I know most people know this, but that is 100% the reason why the Eagles are losing the games they are. Their coaching is absolutely pitiful. And like I said, the talent's on the field, it's not on the sideline. And at this point, there needs to be big-time changes with the coaching, and that is, yes, with the coordinator situation, as long with Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. I understand, yes, the Eagles coordinator's job should be in question, but I'm starting to think the Eagles head coach position also, Nick Sirianni's job should also be in question, because I'm not seeing a good leader right here. He does not seem to be having his football team ready. They seem to be all over the place, and they really do not seem to be one whole team. They seem to be absolutely all over the place. It seems to be scatterbrained all over. So right now, the coaching is a big reason why the Eagles are failing as bad as they are. And if something's going to change, it really needs to happen immediately. And I cannot blame yesterday's loss on the officials. I know a lot of people are blaming yesterday's loss. Oh, it was the Eagles versus the refs. I understand there were some controversial calls yesterday. One being that call that everyone's talking about on the false start on Jason Kelce. I'm going to straight up say it. I didn't really see anything or enough there at all to really call that a false start. There was a little ball movement I saw, but it didn't look like there was that much there to really call that a false start. I mean, right now it seems like the officials are looking for anything these days to call, but I didn't quite see enough there to really call that a false start penalty, as long as there were some other pass interference calls that were, called on the Eagles as well that were also controversial. But at the end of the day, you cannot blame that loss on the officials. The Eagles straight up did not play a good game at all. And as I've been saying these past weeks, another horribly coached game. And I know there's some fans out there blaming it on the refs, but they're just unfortunately, trying to hide the fact that the Eagles are playing absolutely disgusting. And I mean, right now, just looking at it, change really needs to happen, and it needs to happen on that sideline right there, coaching-wise, because as long as they have these guys at the helm, you can mark my words, the Eagles are not going anywhere. And if they prove me wrong, good. Please prove me wrong. I would love you to prove me wrong. But as of right now, as long as these guys are at the helm, I have a feeling that this Eagles team is not going anywhere unless change is happening. And the only change that I'm seeing happening is for the worse. And that is the Eagles are going further and further down the drain each game. And I really do not see any change happening. I hear them talking about change in these post-game press conferences, but do I see the change? I do not. And as we speak, not looking good for the Philadelphia Eagles. But moving on, it wasn't just the coaching, but some of the players didn't really have the best game yesterday, and that I'm really pointing out to the defense. And there were a lot of missed tackles yesterday as well. If you look at the defense, there were many times they could have had the opponent stopped behind the line of scrimmage, but failed to do so. And so there was a good amount of missed tackles, quite a few missed tackles on the Eagles' defensive side of the ball yesterday. I think with the defense, more of the issue is being they really need to buff up that secondary, because that is still a big disappointment. There is a point with the defense, there is a point where the coordinator is at fault, but there's also a point where the players are just not making the correct plays. And I saw that a few times from the defense yesterday, as missed tackles were happening like crazy. And there were times, like I said, the Eagles could have had them stopped back a lot further, but ended up having the Seahawks run for having gains that should have only been a couple yards, instead being over 20 yards, especially that one touchdown that Seattle got. But moving on to a player that I know a lot of people are talking about currently, and that is Jalen Hurts. And another headline being, what is wrong with Jalen Hurts? But let's look at some of his numbers. Passing, he was 17 out of 31. He passed for 143 yards, threw for 2 interceptions. And for his running, he had 13 carries for 82 yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, when you look at it, is Jalen Hurts playing at the level that he was playing at last year? Absolutely not. And I can tell you this right now. Yes, he hasn't been, playing the great. They were playing the best. There were times, multiple times yesterday, where Jalen Hurts had guys wide open right in front of him, and he, for some reason, did not pick them up. And I know one that is going viral currently right now is on the final play of the game, where he had Devontae Smith wide open in front of him, but instead threw that long ball, which was the pick that, as you all know, ended the game yesterday. But it wasn't just that play. It was another play as well where he also, I think it was Gainwell, that was also wide open in front of him, I think doing a crossing route, and he completely missed him as well. So Jalen Hurts right now, I fear when he looks down the field, he locks onto a specific receiver, and that's it. Once he locks onto that receiver, that's all he sees. And it doesn't matter who else runs in front of him. Once he finds the receiver he wants to throw to, he just locks on to him. And that ends up costing the Eagles a good amount as well, because, like I said, multiple times there were guys wide open in front of him, but instead tried to go for this long ball. That long ball was not great yesterday. It ended up being picked off twice. And right now, I think a big important thing is Jalen Hurts needs somebody at the helm that can lead him. And do I see that right now with the Eagles' current situation? No, I do not see that at all. I don't think the correct guys are at the helm to lead this team anywhere, like I said. And right now, I think Jalen Hurts really needs a guy there that can lead him and, really, coach him. Right now, I'm not seeing any of that happening. And with the coaching staff that I'm seeing there right now, like I said previously, I will keep repeating it. I know I sound like a broken record. As long as that coaching staff is there, I do not think that this team is going anywhere. But unfortunately, that's all I have to say for this Week 15 Eagles chat. I hate to be ending it on a bad note like that, but after these performances, it is hard to end on a good note. But here you go. Next week, Monday, December 25th, Christmas Day, the Eagles will play the New York Giants at home at the Link. hopefully the Eagles can get back on the winning ways. I can't guarantee anything, folks. I do not know what to expect from this Philadelphia Eagles team anymore, especially, like I said, who's at the helm. I have absolutely no clue what to expect out of this Eagles team, but hopefully it is a positive thing. Hopefully the Eagles can get back on their winning ways, and it'd be nice to get a win against the Eagles' division rivals, the New York Giants, which did lose their game this week, but I can definitely say one thing about them. They are a feisty team, and who knows, they may be enough to beat the Eagles. We don't know. I do not know anymore. So all I can say is let's watch, let's see what happens, and hopefully next week after Christmas will be a positive Eagles chat, not a negative Eagles chat. So that's all I really got to say for this Week 15 Eagles chat. Like I said, have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a good holiday. Have fun with your family, or if you're just spending time home, you know, try to enjoy yourself. Don't get too mad at the Eagles. Remember, it's Christmas. Try to be happy. I know for Eagles fans it is hard to be happy right now, but try to be happy. Enjoy spending time with your family. And like I said, if you're spending time alone or whatnot, or just relaxing, have a good Christmas. Relax, everybody, and I will see you back here for next week's Eagles chat. Like I said, hopefully it is a positive Eagles chat. So I really got to say, folks, for this Week 15 Eagles chat, and as I always say, and I will never stop saying it, go Birds.